Hello, CFA Nation, Gabe.
Nick.
And we are here today to review an actual Netflix. It's not, what is it, a documentary? What can you call these explained series? I'm not really sure.
I think it's just a series on Netflix that's called Explained, and they do different things. And this time they did crickets.
Cricket Explained on Netflix. And first and foremost, let me just say this. This thing is probably the most informative a cricket video I've seen thus far. And literally, the guy explains the game in, I want to say, maybe 6 or 7 minutes. And I'm like, wow, that was masterful. It's almost like Nick's quick reviews, you know what I mean? Just masterfully done. I was like, that's impressive. But I really enjoyed it. I learned so much so quickly from this. And it's funny, one of the things I learned is that America had cricket, but they stopped playing cricket and evolved to baseball. Because my question was always, which came first, cricket or baseball? Obviously, cricket came first. But they stopped playing cricket because they felt it was too imperial and they didn't want to play the colonizers' games. You know, America and England has had that very what's the word? Contentious relationship for a very long time, as England has had with many of the other places they've colonized. And while America was like, oh, we're not going to play cricket, that's England's game, we don't want anything to do. Other places were like, what? We get a chance to play cricket and beat England at their own game? And that's how the West Indies and India and all these other places that England had colonized took it. And wasn't that the theme, or at least one of the ideas in Lagan, where it was like, we're going to beat you at your own game? Remember that?
Yeah, I also look at it as, England had control of those colonies. So it's basically like I create a new game that I like so much, and I'm going to bring it to all the places that I control, and I'm going to make them play so that I have more people playing my game. Now, it's interesting because it seemed like it gradually picked up speed, obviously. But yeah, I mean, it was England and that one guy. Yes, a few different guys in here that are talking. And obviously, we're not going to react to the series. We're not going to react to the episode. We're just going to talk about it. But you had a few different celebrities, the one guy from that car show on Amazon and a few other people talking about it. And he says, cricket does not have rules. It has laws. And that sounds pompous, and maybe it is, but that's how cricket is. We have laws.
Was that Piers Morgan? That looked like it was Piers Morgan, right?
Like Piers Morgan. I'm not sure what the guy's name is. He has a show on Amazon, him and his buddies, where they drive these really expensive luxury cars and they do different crazy things with it. I think he's got a few other shows on BBC as well. I'm not sure what his name is. But you also had, I'm not sure if you noticed, you had Brian Lara on there as well.
Right.
Talking about his mom cheering for the West Indies, not even knowing what cricket was, but she was cheering because they were kicking butt and whatnot. This show was really cool because it talked about the 3 formats and the evolution of cricket and how the 3 formats came out. I had no idea that T20 was as recent as it is. In the comment section, they said many, many times this is a newer style of cricket that is getting popularity. I just thought it may have been around for a while, but now it's starting to gain steam. But I mean, I don't even think it's 20 years old, this style of cricket in India, maybe. I know it was invented by the British. They did T20, and then it took some while to take on, but it hasn't been around that long. ODI, that got started when they decided, we want to do a tournament. We want to do a World Cup in 1975. And so they created, we can't have a test match World Cup because that's going to take too long. Let's just do an ODI World Cup. We have 50 overs. There's going to be a winner. It's going to finish in one day, or each match is going to finish in one day. We'll do this whole tournament. And I didn't realize that, you're talking the last 50 years or so, 45 years, where those 2 other formats came into play. And this takes us to the comment that you had mentioned from someone in our test episode 1. He said, I'm 53 years old and I've been watching test cricket my whole life and I can't stand the newer versions and this or that. This video gave us a good explanation and showed us how impactful these other formats have been to cricket, to the popularity, not to mention T20 alone, just, exploding with popularity to the point where they had was it 2015 match, India versus Pakistan. It mentions that 1 billion people had watched at least one match in that. 1 out of every 7 person have seen one of those matches.
Was watching not one of those matches. 1 out of 7 was watching that match. 1 billion. Bro, the Super Bowl doesn't do numbers like that. 1 billion people. That's insane. Now, that person is Rodriguez, is his last name, that made that comment. And you know what's so funny? Again, so many people have commented in the past how cricket and baseball aren't similar, but they are, because it's the difference between the American League and the National League, right? The National League plays by the traditional rules where the pitcher still bats, where the American League now has the DH and they're about speeding up the game, where the National League slows down the game. And honestly, that's exactly what they were saying. They were like, look, T20 slows down the game. And they did all these here's the first thing that they said. We did all these surveys of people, and we were asking them if cricket was a 3-hour game where you'd have an absolute winner, would you go ahead and watch that? And they said, oh yeah, people who've never even watched cricket before said they would do it. Here's the thing. When you talk about that, right? Think about who are those people that really participate in the surveys. They aren't the traditional, cricketers, cricket fans that have been watching cricket for 30 or 40 years. They're younger people. Most surveys now are done on the internet anyway. A few phone surveys still, but on the internet. So it's one of those things where it's where the market is. And you see the same thing happen in the baseball, by the way, right now. One of the things they mentioned, and Brian Lara even says it, he's like, look, I appreciate the traditional game, the test game. And I'm the guy who made my career on the test game. However, if the marketers, if the sponsors, if everybody is saying that, hey, test cricket is the future of the game, it's growing the game, and this is where the game is going, then we got to embrace that in order to keep the game growing and become more global. And test cricket has become more global. I found it funny that somebody also mentioned in our comments how other American channels are doing reviews and reactions on cricket, just as we are. And now we've got the test, which is on Amazon. Now we've got this Cricket Explained that we were watching on Netflix. It seems like the whole world is starting to take notice of cricket. And for the most part, it's probably because India really, really did the same thing that the NFL has done, which is turn the T20 into, it's almost like a reality TV. I love the concept of them bidding for their own players or whatever. And they make it this interactive thing, which is about entertainment. And people who say, oh, it's about competition, not entertainment. Okay, let's be real. Competition is entertainment. If there was no entertainment involved in it, then why are they doing it anyway? And that comes to, and they actually say that in the video, but whether it's acting, whether it's singing, whether it's all a form of entertainment, sports is entertainment. So if the TV sponsors and the product want it to be a shorter game so that they can get their commercials in there, get it in one sitting and do whatever, it is what it is. So I see the same argument that the traditional or the baseball purist is having right now with baseball. Same thing with cricket, where they're like, T20 is the game moves too quickly and this and that, and it's not the traditional game. The traditional game just is not a marketable thing as far as television is concerned. You know what I mean?
But see, using baseball, the American National League, it's not the best comparison because it'd be different if baseball had a different league that was only 5 innings or was all hitters and it was less pitchers or whatever. That would be different. And I would embrace that if it was exciting to watch. Cricket has the 3 formats. So it's not like they replaced test cricket and now they have this. I think those test cricket purists are maybe upset because T20 is more popular and even ODIs are more popular. With baseball, you have your American League and your National League, you have your DH and you have your pitcher hitting, and it's okay for those 2 things to exist. Not everybody has to be on the same page in both ways. It's okay to have those 2 things exist. It's okay to have small ball because, home runs, in my opinion, it's a fad. It was a huge fad in the 90s. So much people were taking steroids and cheating, trying to hit more home runs because it was making them more money and people were more excited by it. But that fad comes and goes. We have years where a guy hits 28 home runs and he's in the top 10 league leaders. Home runs aren't always going to be there, but scoring runs is. And so, that's different in baseball. The thing that was cool about T20, as it was talking about that, was the first match was in 2003. And then in 2007, they had the first T20 World Cup. And who wins that World Cup? India. And they had mentioned in there that India didn't really care too much about T20.
They didn't like T20 at all.
Overall. So I can't speak for everyone in India, but according to this video, India didn't want T20. They didn't care about that. It's this game that the British created. Why do we want it? They go to the World Cup. They win the World Cup. And then the next year, they have the IPL. I mean, the next year, they're like, hey, this isn't so bad. Let's start our own league.
It.
And not just that, but this league is now worth almost $7 billion. It just started in 2008. You tell me how many sports have, or how many leagues have been created here in the United States since 2008. I would say at least 10, and most of them are football leagues. Every single one of them that can't even complete its first season. It goes bankrupt because it doesn't pick up. This thing picked up, and in the first, I think, 4 or 5 years, it doubled from $2 billion worth to $4 billion worth. Like you said, they have celebrities involved in owning it. They have people dancing. They have music. They have different things, and they have the auctions. They've made a hip, cool thing. But at the end of the day, you have these guys, and they're playing. And you're able to see players like Andre Russell, and you're able to see players like, Kohli, obviously, he's on the national team and all the other things. All these different players that are now able to play. You're able to see Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers on the same team, for crying out loud, even though they play for different countries in the IPL. Is super cool. Other thing I want to mention about India, we mentioned India a lot, but let's face it, it's like 80% of our audience. It was really cool how I think it was the third World Cup in 83 when India won against West Indies. I believe it was West Indies who won the first two. And they were like a 99-1 long shot, right? They had 100-1 odds to be able to even win a game. They'd only won one in the previous two World Cups. And not only did they win a game, but they won the entire thing in England, which is very metaphorical. You can talk about how previously they were under their rule before 1947 and whatnot, but they're in England, the place that invented cricket, winning the World Cup against the team that was the best at that point. There was just so many cool parts about this series or this episode in 16 minutes that it was awesome.
Definitely. It was very informative. And I think that, to kind of piggyback on when you were talking about what we're talking about a lot about India, they actually mention it here, where even though England created cricket and Lord's is known as the home of cricket, that's, again, more of a metaphor, okay, because the reality is you've got 1 billion people in India, and they've got a product that is far superior, that's embraced worldwide. And honestly, where they've taken the game of cricket, I don't think if we get the test series on Amazon, I don't think we get this Netflix Cricket Explained. I don't think we get all these different, and we're talking about here in America, okay? I don't think we get the explosion and exposure for cricket if it wasn't that India created that IPL league, which really shortened the format and made it a television product. And I know a lot of people hate the fact that sports has to do with sponsors and television and commercials, but let's be real, okay? That's what pays the bills, television. I'm a huge Yankee fan. It's a nosebleed to buy Yankee tickets, right? You're making life decisions. Am I going to eat this week, or am I buying, Yankee tickets, bro? You're paying
maybe eat the next few weeks, for crying out loud. Those tickets, holy cow.
$300-$400 for some seats, the decent seats or whatever. And there's seats that cost $15,000 a game. Insane. But even if all those seats were there, that's not going to pay a payroll of the Yankees that is almost $200 million a year. Let's just be real. What do they make their money off? TV. And they even mention it in the show, TV contracts and sponsors. That's really what gets these high salaries for these players and what grows the product. And it's easier to do that in a 3-hour window where you can throw, okay, if it's a 3-hour game, we can throw in, 18 commercials, this, that, whatever, and get all these sponsors in, as opposed to a 5-day test match where by day 2 or 3, people may just lose interest. You know what I'm saying? Or they may not have the time available to watch a full 5 days of cricket. Let's be honest with that as well. That's more of a sport that's so leisure. I could not. Right now, we're home, because of coronavirus. But normally, I couldn't invest, a 5 days, an average of 8-9 hours a day. That's just not going to happen. I don't have that kind of time. I got a wife, I got kids, I got bills, I got work. So The shorter format, yeah, I can dedicate 3 hours to watch a game. Where the longer format, all right, maybe I'll watch game 5, and the last hour or two, maybe 3, because I can't watch the entire thing. And that's the big difference between the
Dude,
two.
it's genius. I mean, the first year the IPL was around, it was worth $2 billion. It's such a genius idea. Like you're talking about test, that's 450 overs. T20 is 20 overs per. I mean, 20 overs. That's such a smaller amount. You would think that it wouldn't work, but it's so genius because yes, younger generations, we have too much going on. We have social media, we've got devices in front of our faces, we have short attention spans. But like you said, 2 or 3 or 4 hours, and I'm able to see my favorite players play, and they're going against each other. And it's just a few months out of the year.
Right.
It's a genius idea, and it's super cool that they're able to get the best players. And not just that, but now India's created this avenue for these really top talent players to, if they're on the national team or maybe they're a backup to the national team, they're able to have a career now, and they're able to make some good money playing and exposing themselves. And you cannot tell me that if we have a guy who is on our alternate team or on our B class team, whatever they call that for the national teams, that's in an IPL team and he's crushing it, you cannot tell me that these national teams aren't giving that person a hard look. So it's super cool. This video was so awesome because we've been learning about cricket the last few months, but it's good just to have the facts. Now, he went over the whole rules of cricket. I felt like I had that down pretty pat, right?
They weren't rules, as he says. Cricket has laws.
Yeah.
Even he says it sounds pompous, but it's true. They're laws. And dude, that explanation was so awesome. He was like, there's 11 players on each team. There's this amount of ways to get out. There's this many overs. The way he explained it was so so quick, but very, very clear. And then, of course, there's all the other small laws and rules of the ways you can get out. But he was so quick. I was like, what's so confusing? Explain it this way and everybody gets the game. You know what I'm saying? But it was really, really fun. One other thing I wanted to mention, since you mentioned about the national teams, did you catch that bit? And because that's also been an issue here in the States, where they were talking about how 50% of the Indian players said that they would play IPL over play for the national team if there was more money involved. And in our last World Baseball Classics, a lot of countries got upset because professional teams were telling players, Yankees, okay, my team, were one of them. Listen, we pay you $50 million or whatever your contract is, $100 million, $300 million, to play for us. You can't go out and wear a baseball classic and get hurt. That's not going to happen. So they were pulling their players, and people got super, super upset because technically the USA team is our national baseball team.
Well, what about our Olympic team, right? You got the basketball players in the Olympic team. It's tough for them to get. You're not going to get the starting all-star squad in the Olympic team. We had the Dream Team in '92, right? You had Jordan, you had Pippen, you had Bird, and you had all the Magic Johnson, all these greats, Charles Barkley. You're not going to get that again. The closest to that was, what was it, 2012 in Beijing, whatever it was, 2008, I think it was, when you had Kobe and you had LeBron and you had Dwayne Wade and you had Chris Bosh and you had there's some people I'm leaving out, but you had those
Carmelo Anthony. That team was stacked.
Yeah, those were the close, and I love that because Kobe went off, and he tells the people in Beijing, shh, because he came back and he went off like 20 points in the third quarter. Anyways, but it's even worse today because you have guys like LeBron who, if he's thinking about playing for the Olympic team, he's going to get some backlash from the owners. He's going to get some backlash from his fans. Like, what are you doing? You're getting older. We want you to win a championship for the Lakers, not go off and get hurt in the Olympics, not get exhausted in the Olympics. You've been in so many different finals. Your body needs to rest. I mean, it's in this country, at least in that sport and a lot of other sports, it's not so much the national pride anymore. It's money talks, and it's about my team, and I want you to help win a championship for my team. We've had gold medals before. Let's not worry about that anymore. Let's worry about the finals championships.
Wow. You know what? It's a selfish way to look at it. But then again, Brian Lara says it the best. And he says at the end of it, he's like, listen, you can't fault cricketers for doing that because this is their livelihood. This is how they feed their family. And they know if they're playing for the national team, they're, one bad match away from never playing again, being replaced. Or if I can feed not just my family, but my family's family, if I can make generational wealth playing cricket, I'm going to do that. And
Yeah.
if it means I don't represent my country, so be it. I'm playing for my family. I'm playing for those generations that's going to come future. Because once you get these huge contracts, I mean, you can't mess that kind of money up, all right? I mean, some of the have you ever seen that ESPN broke with all the former football
Dude,
players and basketball players that go
I was
broke?
gonna say Antoine Walker from the Celtics, $86 million. It's all gone.
How'd you blow 100 mil? How'd you blow 100 mil? Just the interest on that alone. How'd you do it? I don't understand.
$86 million. I will not make that in my lifetime. I will
Oh,
not make, 1/40th of that in my lifetime, and it's gone.
it's
But
it's it's insane.
this show is awesome. We've gotten so many requests for this, so hopefully those from Boring Reviews are able to migrate over to Cricket for Americans and check out our discussion for it. The question we have, and this is an honest question, we want to know in this copyright world that we live in, and I'm sure once the virus has really died down, global, the copyrights will calm down as well. But the question we have is, are you enjoying these discussions? And the fact of the matter is we want to do as many reactions as we can. We're not going to stop doing reactions, but we have to be very, very picky on which ones we do reactions for. And I know if we reacted to this, it would have got us a copyright claim. You look at Jabi Kouei's reaction to it. He cut it down from the 16 minutes to, I think, like 8 or 9 minutes. I mean, and I don't think it's good justice for our audience to see half of our reaction. So we want to know, in those events that we can't do a reaction, how much do you like these discussions? Let us know in the comment section below. Show us with the likes, because we can do these all day long. We watch it beforehand and we talk about it. And in some ways, it's almost a little better because we have a chance to watch it, process it, and then talk about it. Again, reactions aren't going to go away, but when we can't do a reaction, when we're nervous about it, let us know if you're okay with the discussions, and we'll keep bringing them to you guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. And dude, with sports around the corner, with things starting to loosen up, my question is, and somebody asked this, I forget after what video, but how long do you think it's going to take who's a forward thinker, like a major league or a basketball owner, Mark Cuban or somebody like that, to say, holy Christ, let's say Mark Cuban's home right now and he's watching Netflix, okay, Cricket Explained, and he says, what? 1 billion people were watching that game. What? It grew from 2 billion to 4 billion. And America has a team and we haven't. Come on, money talks. And that was money. That what they're talking about globally, that's an opportunity. How long is it going to take somebody to say, you know what? Let's throw our hat in that arena? I mean,
so me and you, we go on Shark Tank and we don't have any presentation tools. We just show up there, we show some numbers from the IPL, and we just say our idea is a cricket league in America. Who wants to buy it?
Let's get it done. I don't know if Shark Tank, maybe Vince McMahon will give us the money. We'll be like, look, you blew the NFL thing, okay? XFL didn't work. Give us a check, all right? We're going to double your money. Here's the stats. Let's make this thing happen, all right? And we'll see what happens with that.
Dude, we'll do it Lagan style, man. We'll go into, the impoverished areas of America, and we'll get these kids that are serious athletes, and we'll say, here, let's learn about cricket. Let's do it. You got nothing to lose.
Bro, it's what was the video that we watched? Usain Bolt. Remember that when Usain Bolt was playing cricket? Bro, athletes are athletes. You give me a finely tuned athlete and give me time to teach him the game, bro, they're gonna be able to ball out. It doesn't matter what it is. And it's just that simple where give some of these, think about some of these really, really good baseball players, or even some of these football players or whatever. One of the things they mentioned in the test where Australia, their advantage, he's like, look, we're all world-class athletes. It doesn't matter if it's India, Pakistan, England. What separates us is that we're going to be more fit than the other team. So we kill ourselves so that we're athletically in better shape than the other team, because we've all got skill. And JL says that. And that's just the reality about it. Athletes are athletes, man. And once you've trained them long enough at a sport, they're not going to pick it up in a day or two or a week. But listen, look at women's soccer in the United States, man. Years ago, 10, 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, it really popped. And now these ladies are absolutely dominant. Men, you better step your game up. But you know what I'm saying, dude? Like, just give us time. Give us time. Give us the resources so that, it can be where we have a competitive league and it's at the college level. And watch, we will produce some athletes, because We've got some
Dude,
great athletes.
we already got the name, Cricket for Americans. That can be the name of our league. We can get some royalties off the league just for the name.
Bro,
We got the logo that a run made for us.
copyrighted tonight. I'm telling you, if Mark Cuban or Vince McMahon start talking about Cricket for Americans and they create their own league, I'm gonna lose it.
It all started here. So before we go out and we start our own cricket league here in America, let us know what you think about this video. We'll keep grounding, do some more videos for right now. Let us know what you want us to do some discussions on. If you want to help us find some awesome reaction videos, let me give you some guidelines here. It's got to be something from not a non-official cricket channel. It's got to be something that's not just copied from a. So, for example, if someone just took a video from English Wales Cricket and they put it on their channel and they cut it down by a minute, do some research. See if it's on a different channel. Make sure it's not. See if other people have reacted to it, and if they have, see if they've reacted to the entire thing. If you want. If you have a request and you feel like you have a video that meets all those parameters, please give it in the comment section. I'm telling you, we're going to react to it because you're going to save me a lot of work. Don't forget to check out our Patreon. Don't forget to check out Boring Reviews. And we have a whole bunch of cricket on videos on there. And don't forget to watch them ads, people. They are awesome. They pay the bills. And until next time.
That's 6 runs.